What's going on, vagabonds? Welcome to LNT episode 10. I had to sneak that in there.
Oh, he's like, I gotta do it before before we start talking. Um, I'll say this. I was watching the video podcast last time.
Yeah.
So frustrated with myself. So just, I was looking at. You could tell every time I'd start talking, I go looking at myself in the back.
Whatever. I chose not to watch. I watched a smidge, but then I was like, oh, geez, man.
It's
That
hard.
camera angle is bad.
It's it's hard to watch.
Dude, I felt like I had the camera like pointed straight at my freaking chin. I was
Yeah.
like, geez, how unflattering. It's just like, it gets so self-conscious, man. Especially when the video portion's rolling.
Hey, it's okay. It's just us.
Whatever.
I have got to stop looking at myself.
You should just put a piece of paper over yourself on your monitor.
Right. And just not touch my nose.
Dude, I was going for a scratch there.
I think it's about having something like so like close to your face. You're just like,
I wonder if I feel like maybe it's the heat from my mouth that just comes up and like
it just bounces back.
tickles my nose a smidge.
Tickles. Yeah, that's crazy. I
Is it? Just kidding. Anyways.
Gosh, damn. Anyways, so how was your week? You have
Eventful.
some interesting information.
Very stressful.
I don't know if you could.
Divulge.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I think as long, yeah.
Sweet.
I don't know. I don't know. It started out a little bit rough for me.
Sure.
Just weird mental headspace. Getting through it though. But there's been a couple change ups in how we're gonna take over the industry, you could say. Um, with work
Mm.
and pertaining to work. I got promoted into a higher leadership position, so I'll have more responsibilities in that department. And then it'll be good because unfortunately we're gonna be losing a guy from Iros. Super helpful human being. Love him to death, but he's got other priorities. No, I don't want to divulge in his life. He's got
Sure.
other priorities that he needs to take care of. But it'll be cool to see the new dynamic play out in the coming weeks and months, and there's going to be a good handoff between everything, I think, and I'm just excited to see how it all turns out. I'm pretty confident in myself that I'm ready to take on the position, and I've been it's been on my mind, so it's been good to have something that I can process um, other than other things.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. It'll be good to challenge myself. I'm always up for a challenge, and I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah, it'll be a nice I guess a learning opportunity.
Learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Learning,
Yeah. I
or
don't
how much you learn.
yeah, cuz I don't think we ever stop learning.
And sometimes it seems like you don't always ask to be learned, if that makes any sense,
Taught.
It's like sometimes when you feel like you might be lacking the ability to learn, something comes out of nowhere and you're just like, damn, okay, wasn't expecting that,
Yeah.
but I'm ready for it.
Right. Isn't that cuz I mean in most of my experiences that I've had, they usually come out of the blue.
Yeah.
You're not really expecting it.
Yeah.
The only thing you can really do is be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't really prepared. I wasn't really prepared, but there was always like a version of me that I was like keeping in the chamber, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, I think I was definitely, I was very, very, I think, so remember when I was listening to the HWMF podcast? I think a lot of that drove my goal-oriented mindset because I was just constantly listening to these two individuals talk about their business and their goals and how much they were accomplishing. And sometimes they wouldn't post a podcast because they got so busy with other sections of their life that would help them be more successful. And I kind of just took after them on that. And then like they ultimately they haven't they stopped posting podcasts. So I didn't really have that. I didn't really have that kickstart, I guess, to continue the goal oriented mindset. Which now looking back and learning from that, I can't let a podcast ultimately rule how I go about my success in life. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of let that lead the way for me. But then as soon as it stopped, it was like, so did I. It was weird.
So you're saying that I'm sorry, I maybe I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying that what are you saying?
So HWMF podcast stands for hardworking motherfuckers,
Right.
and that's all they preach.
Mm-hmm.
Is just to work hard, you know, do a good job, do your job, just be a good person. Like it was just like very uplifting,
Yeah.
you know, and you could see progress within their business as they just followed their own words.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm getting there, I'm getting there, I'm getting there. And then as soon as they stopped producing content, it was almost like I stopped producing progress.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what
So
you're
it was
saying.
weird. I kind of let the podcast run like a portion of me. I'm not going to say my whole body, but like just a portion of me with the mindset. And I had to kind of develop my own mindset, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's maybe you have it's it's nice to have some sort of influence, motivation that people go to, because I think a lot of people go to um, anything that's inspirational or that motivates them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's maybe, again, I'm not going to assume or speculate what the podcast was for you, but I can only assume that that's probably what it can do. I'm sorry. I just realized as I was talking, I'm like, I'm not going to speculate or assume what this podcast is for you, but I'm going to continue to assume and speculate what this podcast is for you.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm trying to say is I think it makes sense because there's certain things that, as a person in I mean, my career is the performing arts, entertainment. I have to find things that inspire me, that I always call it get me in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get me going in something that I'm doing. Like it's very hard for me. And I've been able to say, okay, I just got to fucking do it. I just got to get up off my ass and just do it. But I always produce something really well if there's something that I've been motivated by or inspired by. So like I'll go watch a clip of one of my favorite opera singers of all time singing with like an orchestra, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's what I want so bad, and that gives me that kind of little bit of like of a boost to do something.
Kickstart.
Yeah, I think so. So maybe that's kind of what that podcast was for you. Maybe something similar like that. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely listen to it every morning on the way like to work. Kind of give me that morning kickstart to the day.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a question.
yep.
Do you what are your morning routines like?
Um, so recently I've been setting my phone across the room with my alarm on. So that way I have to physically get up out of bed, turn the alarm off. Second thing is I make sure I do not look at any notifications I have on my phone because if there's a notification in there that could possibly start the day out bad, I don't want to know about it yet.
Hmm.
Third, make the bed. This only came about in the last 2.5 weeks.
Hmm.
Make the bed. Start the goal or start the day with a victory. Easy. You know you're going to be able to make your bed. Nothing's going to get in the way of making your bed.
Right.
It's simple. It's what they do in the military. So I adopted it.
Yeah.
It felt right.
Right.
Then I go start the shower, brush the teeth, shower, get dressed. I already have all my stuff packed and prepped to walk out the door. So I wake up and I'm out the door within 15 minutes. Try to be as efficient as possible. But one thing I would like to start doing is I would like to start getting up a half hour earlier and reading for the first 30 minutes of my day.
Yeah. Do you how many hours do you wake up before you have to be at work? Or what's like your time frame look like?
I wake up at 5 and I'm out the door by 5:30.
Interesting.
The whole routine's like 15 minutes though.
Hmm.
So, but I would like that extra half hour to be awake an entire hour before I'm out the door.
Yeah. And it takes you what? 30 minutes to get to work,
Yeah.
and then you're at work
Yep.
for your 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that's interesting. Um I think it's funny that you mentioned the bed making, because in undergrad I made my bed every single day before I went to bed. I don't sleep with regular like
Made your bed in the morning?
before I go to school.
Okay, before you go to school. You
Right.
said before you went to bed.
Oh. Naturally, Eric will
Anyways.
say that. Yeah, I made it before I went to school, and I don't have like a whole like bed set. I do, but I don't put it on. So I'll just sleep with like one. I have this comforter that was for my twin bed that I've had for like ever, and it's big, it's thicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big, but it's meant for a twin bed, but it'll go across a queen, but it won't go over the sides. So what I did is I kind of just made it look real nice on my side of the bed that I sleep on, and the pillows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of weird like that. But I did that, and I just had made it a habit.
Yep.
Fun fact, this was before I drank coffee.
Okay.
Now, I don't make my bed before I go to school, because usually I'm coming home and taking a nap in between classes. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to be back in my bed at some point. Or I'll come home and eat and then take like a quick 15-minute snooze or 30-minute whatever. Yep. But when I started drinking coffee, I stopped making my bed because my morning routine changed. And this is, as I've gotten older, it's slowly progressed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk to me. Don't fucking look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't try to start a conversation with me. At least 30 minutes after I have my cup of coffee.
Interesting.
I am not a morning person.
Yeah.
I'm not. I am up till 3, 4 o'clock. I'm most creative at night. That's just how I, I don't know. That's just how my genetics are made. However, I'm most productive in the morning, but I'm most creative at
Mm.
night.
Mm-hmm.
And my morning routine now is I like to wake up at least 2 hours before I have to be anywhere.
Wow. Right.
I'll wake up, takes me 10 minutes to drink my coffee.
Jeez, my armrest gave out.
um 10 minutes to make my coffee, and I like to do absolutely nothing while I drink my coffee unless I have to do something. If I have to
Mm-hmm.
do a homework assignment before class, I have to look over my music, or I have to prepare music or something like that, then I'll look at my music. But something about having a cup of coffee and kicking my feet up and starting my day off with something that I love, which is I love any sort of cinema. That's a movie or a TV show.
Huh.
I love it. It I always kind of have. I think me and my family were big into TV shows and movies. It's been that way my whole life. Um
Interesting.
and I'll go and watch like NCIS, for example. And when I'm finished with my cup of coffee, I turn the TV off. I'm going to spare you some details of the story. I go to the bathroom and I take my shower.
Yeah.
Then I'm ready. And then I just sit down in my room, quiet. Sometimes I look out the window. Sometimes I go to my piano and I just think, what is this day going to be like for me? Right? So I go, okay, I've got this, I got this, I got this, I plan out my day essentially in my head. I'll catch up on emails in the morning, all that other kind of stuff.
What time do you wake up?
Um, I usually wake up about 7:30.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, so I usually wake up about 7:30. It differs on depending on what time I have to be at class, obviously. Because if I could get a couple extra minutes of shut eye, I'm gonna get a couple extra minutes of shut eye.
Yeah.
Because I'll wake up at 7:30, but I won't go to bed at 2. So
Right, yeah.
that's how much sleep I'm getting. But I've made it work. It might not be healthy for my body, but I make it work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I freaking sleep in on the weekends.
I just, even just, I'm gonna keep touching my nose. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I even caught myself when I asked you what time do you get up. I kind of smirked, and I think that's a natural reaction. Only because I'm like, you start to break down, like you said, you stay up till 2.
Right.
I don't even get, yeah, no. 2 a.m. that is, what are you doing? I try to get into bed nowadays at around like 10.
Yeah.
It was 7. I was going to bed at 7
Yeah.
like a month ago. But now I'm just like, what a waste of time. What is that? 3 extra hours? 3 extra hours of productivity
Right.
or something I could be investing into myself. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think the whole thing about like, I think people hold people who get up early to a higher standard for some reason, even though it's like you just wake up a little bit later but stay up later.
Yeah.
They don't correlate the same thoughts with people who do that.
Right. It's really funny that you had mentioned that, because I wasn't even thinking about that, but it's funny because for whatever reason people do correlate.
Yeah.
Oh, if you wake up, the early bird gets the worm, and there's some
Yeah.
truth to that. But if I can help it, I'll tell you this: my normal time I go to bed, I try to go to bed no later than 1:30. But when I go to bed, my brain does not shut off. I have to put something on and I've been putting on this weird YouTube sound thing of someone like talking, and all I do is just focus on the voice and what she's
Yeah.
saying. Dude,
Yeah.
out like a light.
Dude, yeah. I've been putting on a podcast when I go to bed,
Yeah.
and I just have the little sleep timer on Spotify.
Genius.
It's such a brilliant idea.
It's funny that you said the sleep timer. I was looking at, because sometimes I'll listen to like piano concertos and sonatas when I'm going to bed, and I'm like, my phone's my alarm, so I can't have this going through every piano sonata on Spotify.
Right.
So I turned that timer on. That's a cool little feature.
I like it.
But anyways, I think that's really interesting because I have never really ever figured that. For me, and then it depends because sometimes I have late night classes, but my typical sleep I get is, I would say, is anywhere from 5 to 6.5 hours of sleep. That's how many hours of sleep I get.
Yeah.
Now, I could change my habits and go to bed earlier and get more sleep, but I am the kind of person that I need to do stuff for myself at the end of the day. I have to. Even though music is my career and it's my passion, it's work at the end of the day. It's work. So I have to do something that's not work, and that would be entertainment. So TV, movies, YouTube, whatever. But I try to keep it to a minimum of what I do at night. But there's also some nights when I'm doing work till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Now, just because we're podcasting, we're recording,
Yeah.
is that the only reason that you're breaking it down in the way that you are, or is this like premeditated? Like, this is what I do. This is my me time. Like, do you consider it your me time, or is it just something you naturally do? Like, do you schedule your day? Like, you schedule your day for me time, or are you just only saying it because we're reviewing our day on the podcast?
Or are you saying, like, do I write it in my schedule?
Sure.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yes.
You're like, thank you, Eric. I think, if I remember what you asked, is I schedule my time like this is me time.
Okay.
I'm not saying it in terms of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I make it a goal, and I don't always keep to this, but at 11 o'clock, that is my dead off. I don't think about music. I don't look at music. I do nothing. 11 o'clock, that's off.
Interesting.
Unless I feel inspired.
Oh.
Which coincidentally happens quite a bit. But I had a music mentor of mine told me this once. He was saying, you must always do what we're doing here, classical music or opera, in some sort of way that is not work, that makes you realize that this is your love of what you're doing, that makes it not become work. Because I don't think a lot of people know, but not to diminish any kind of other careers out there, but to be an opera singer, it's a pretty challenging thing to do.
Right.
So, and especially with someone like me, and I think this is why you told me this, I'm so hard on myself because I have high expectations for myself, that if I don't find some way to go back to the reason why I got into singing opera and classical music, then there might be at some point in my life where I get burnt out and don't want to do it anymore,
Yeah.
you know? So that's what tends to happen around that kind of time, 11, 12 o'clock. I'll look at a music score just for the hell of it and just listen, follow along. In like an opera score, I'll follow along, or I'll practice my conducting, even though it's not something that's required. I'll do that, practice my conducting. Or I'll play the piano, just kind of mindless, not for any class, not for anything, just for myself. Not for assignment, not for anything else, but for myself. And that, and then maybe that sparks something else. And I'm like, oh, well, let me go look at my score that I'm singing really quickly and incorporate that. But I try to make 11 o'clock my cutoff, but that doesn't always happen.
Interesting. Such a different. You and I are different as fuck.
Well, how? Could you explain how that's different?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just when I just look at the breakdown of our days, I'm just like, God damn. I'm like, it's like, I mean, still goal oriented.
I mean, don't be afraid to say it. Just say what
I
you
know.
got.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. I just like right now it's 7:50 p.m. for me.
Yeah.
And I've been making it a goal to go to the gym at 8.
Yeah.
Because I know that at 8 nobody else wants to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's just like me and 15 other people.
Right.
Just because I can really focus on myself and not be distracted and
mind muscle connection
and just go tear shit up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess there's some similarity there. And you're at 11 p.m. you do XYZ. At 8 p.m. I do XYZ. But it's just kind of, I get up at 5, you get up at 7:30 or whatever. So it's like the same format. We kind of have the same format of our day. I go to work, you go to school.
Yeah. I think it's the concept of time.
You and time.
You know how I feel about time.
Yeah.
So everything I do is always cognitive of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always thinking about time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste time if I can prevent it.
Right. I always try to be cognizant of, especially when I'm hanging out with you, or if I know we're going to do a podcast, I try to be very diligent with I try to keep things rolling quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I know that this is important, that I stay on task, get the job done, finish it in an efficient manner, kind of a deal.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question because now I'm curious.
Yeah, let it rip.
Would you say that that maybe has to do with some of my personality traits of being a type A person, or
I knew you were going to say that.
A stick up my ass, kind of like we were talking in the last podcast or the podcast before?
I would say it's just.
Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Fuck you. I've known you for quite some time, and I think that just happens. I think that just happens over time. the longer that you know somebody, obviously the more you're going to learn about that person and kind of where their highlights are
Their
with
flaws.
yeah, like how I guess I've always been a people pleaser, so I'm like, how do I satisfy this person? What are the key points that I need to hit every time I interact with this person? And it's almost like I have this subconscious list per person
Yeah.
that I'm just like, okay, I need to do, I'm meeting with this person, I need to do XYZ to make sure that the conversation flows smoothly and that, you know,
Yeah. That's kind of says that breaks down a lot. I mean, that tells me a lot about you as an individual, being
because
a people pleaser.
that the more I think about it now, I'm getting on a tangent here.
No,
The
that's
more I
fine.
think about it, I guess that's why it's almost easy for me to like deflect certain people rather than others is because the people that I want in my life are in my life.
Yeah.
The people that I don't are just kind of there.
Right.
They're just kind of helping me along. And
Yeah.
that could be selfish, but I think there's a portion of everybody that has those people and these people, you know. Your close people and then your acquaintances.
Right. Yeah.
Cuz I don't make a list for my acquaintances.
No. It's a weird concept to understand. But I mean, I believe in this, what you just said, of the fact of the people that are going to be in your life are going to be in your life. The people that are meant to be there are going to be there. And it's really funny because hmm, I
Yep. Got it. Something's rolling in there.
my oh yeah.
Yeah.
um my roommate and I, because Tyler and I are pretty similar in nature. That's why we piss each other off so much.
Mhm.
um and we make a joke that um that we have like high gosh, high functioning autism,
Yeah.
because I'll say this, for example. You are a lot better on connecting with human beings on an emotional level. I can't comprehend it. Like, if someone's crying, I don't understand where that's coming from. Um of course, for myself, um I'm not a really emotional person, and see, that's not to say that I haven't been you know what I mean? I haven't, like,
Yeah.
of course I cried as a kid,
Sure.
but I, you know, this, it might make me sound like the biggest asshole in the world, but my dad and I talk about it, and we always call it, and maybe we're calling it this just to make ourselves feel better, but emotional intelligence.
I feel like I know what you're trying to say, but it's explaining it to people is the hard part.
Right. It's just and it's very hard for me as an individual to trust somebody,
Mm.
to let them into my life, because again, this goes back to time.
Yeah.
I am not going to waste my time on someone that I do not think is worthy of my time.
Sure.
That's like really an asshole thing to say, but I think everybody should
Is
develop
it?
this. See, I don't know. Because I'll just put it this way. My mom, super emotional.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, he's not. My grandma, she's not a super emotional person. I think my grandma's got the perfect balance, perfect emotional intelligence, because I've seen my grandma cry, but I've seen her also very composed, just, you know.
Interesting, Eric. Keep going.
But it's really hard because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain my
Emotions.
my inner self to the podcast people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe there's some autistic qualities there. I don't know if that's what it is. But I'll tell you this, and I've told you this over the phone before. When I listen to music or I'm performing music, that completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear emotions.
Yeah.
I can feel emotions when I'm performing or listening to music. So it's weird to me that I can feel and hear and see those emotions when music's in front of me.
Right.
But outside, it's hard. You know what I mean? Well,
So
go ahead. Sorry.
just like you're confused about people that express emotions, or like the crying example that you gave.
Yeah.
It's weird because that thought is also running through my mind if I'm crying and somebody else is not. And I'm like, where are your emotions at?
Interesting.
I get very confused, and it's almost like I try to pull it out of them.
Right.
It's almost like it's like I want to share the emotion with the person. Maybe so emotions can be on the same level,
Connect.
connect.
Whoa, that's crazy.
It's
My mind's blown.
it's hard because um, I think something that I've struggled with and have learned is that usually that isn't the right approach to that scenario, because it's like you would be so hard set in the way that you feel, and I'm so hard set in the way that I feel, that I've learned that conforming to how that other person feels is almost the better route to take. So, me holding back my emotions and then connecting with them on their emotions that they aren't expressing is a better path.
I have a question for you. Could you say that not getting an emotional reaction or the emotion that you expect can result in other kinds of emotions, like maybe being sad or angry?
You're going to have to say that in a different way.
So if you, okay, for instance, I'm going to use an example here that happened, and I'm just curious. So let's just say, for instance, I'm getting really, really angry, or I'm just getting flustered, right? I'm getting flustered, and the people around me are just kind of lackadaisical. Is that a word? That's not a fucking word.
Lackadaisical?
Yeah. they're laughing, they're just kind of relaxed, having a good old time, while one individual is getting really kind of flustered, angry, and everybody else is not in that same kind of emotional space as the person is getting angry. And then it might elicit some other emotion, whether that's crying, whether that's being sad, mad, angry, or whatever.
So the question is,
Do you feel that you have like that, where it's like if you don't see people come
oh,
like if
joining in.
joining in your emotions that you're feeling, it might elicit another emotion.
Oh, bring out more or a
Right.
different emotion.
Correct.
Ah, yes,
For you?
absolutely.
Right.
Yep, totally.
Interesting.
Like usually, I would say anger and sadness could go hand in hand for me.
Yeah.
I would say I could be angry, but then I could be sad that the other person isn't angry with me.
Right.
Or I could be sad and then
Get angry that
angry because they're not
Us.
being sad with me.
Yes. Okay.
And then it just spirals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because I never saw it because I don't know that side. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dude, it is so hard. This is why perspective is such a meaningful word to me.
Right.
Is because, dude, you go your whole life not associating perspective with shit. Like you don't associate the word with what's going on.
Right.
You put yourself in somebody else's shoes. That's perspective, and like that is perspective. Putting yourself in a past version of your shoes, that's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to me how much I've missed out on in learning about myself because I haven't really known the true definition of perspective.
Yeah. Well, okay. Devil's avocado here for a moment.
Advocate? Avocado?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you just say that you're upset with yourself because you lacked the perspective when you were younger?
Yeah,
Okay. So
I am.
can't you say that the lack of perspective has gained you some things in your life?
I mean, the lack of perspective then is only gained now.
R-
But,
right.
geez, I don't know how to not go into that too deep.
Right. Well, can I tell a story?
Yeah.
And it pertains to you and I?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one kind of thing that I'll say, and it was a perspective seeking moment for the both of us. And it's weird because
Just let her rip.
it's weird because I feel like I need to talk to you, but then because I'm not, because you know what I think you know what I'm gonna say, but I'll just whatever. Fuck.
What environment were we in? Were you at the gym?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
So I think for you and me, I think that's what has ultimately made our friendship as strong as it is to this day, because we're always able to, and every kind of instance that these have happened, we always fucking come back, We're always guys for like 2 days, and then one person sends a text and just,
Yeah.
So Taylor and I had got in an argument at the gym, and I can't remember exactly what the context of the argument was. It was something really dumb, and I was being dumb.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because all of the little things that you and I are little things that we've gotten into in our life has put a whole bunch of perspective for me and what I was doing. And it's funny because I'll tell people this, and I'm going to give you a compliment here. So take a deep breath for a moment.
Yep. Those
I
are rare.
I attribute a lot of how I go about things today to you because of the fact of the moments that we had in those particular moments of our fights that we have been in.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you allowed for me was a large amount of perspective for things that I was doing. Right? And so I was able to go home and reflect those. And I'll say, when I was that age, I did not think my whole life about time. I wasn't thinking back then about time and how important it is,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I remember saying something to you very specific. And it wasn't a threatening kind of thing. It was, and I think this relates back to what we were talking about before, because I think you were trying to elicit some emotion out of me that I wasn't
Yeah.
giving, because I don't know how to.
Yeah.
But I told you, and I don't know if this was over text or if I said it in person. I'm pretty sure it was over text. And I said, listen, Taylor, I'm just like, I value your friendship a lot. But if we're going to keep, and I think this was the last kind of straw thing that we had. And
Yeah.
I said, I see, it's hard for me to say it, but I'm going to say it for the podcast. I said, I don't need you in my life that much if this is what the relationship is going to be like.
Yeah.
That's extremely hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to be completely honest. I don't know. I don't know what I would do if you weren't in my life. You
Right.
know? So
Likewise.
for me to say that, and that was, I truly meant that at the time too. And it was hard for me to say it at that time too, because I didn't want to have that kind of relationship with you. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen inevitably with friends that you have, and especially close friends. I can't count the amount of arguments I've had with my close friends.
Right.
But I think it says a lot because I remember what you sent back. I don't know if you remember what you sent back, but this was a very pivotal moment in Eric's life. So it's very clear to me. If it was, it's fine. But you said, that's not what I want to have happen at all. You said very clearly to me, and it was very calmly, you were just like, Eric, you need to realize what you do some of these times and how it might affect other people. So things that I might say, right? That I didn't have any realization that it might affect somebody with something that I'm saying that to me doesn't seem that validates an emotional response, but that's me, right?
Right.
That's not you. Something I might say might elicit a emotional response from you. So for me, that was kind of a realization moment of I really need to start taking into account things that I say, not just when I'm around Taylor, but when I'm around everybody.
Right.
Right. And this isn't like I'm going to walk on tiptoes when I'm around Taylor or whatnot. This was a moment of, okay, I might need to change how I might be doing things, because I have kind of, growing up, I had kind of been that kind of, didn't really realize what I was saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the people that I was saying it to just kind of, they just took it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a big learning moment for me
Right.
in relating this back, the perspective.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's when and obviously now I think I'm a little bit more intelligent than I was 8 years ago. At least, God, I hope so.
Yeah. Me too.
So I didn't know what these things were at the time, but now, relating it back, I gained perspective, because what I did from that moment on is I thought about everything I was saying and how it might affect somebody else. Or maybe not on a small scale, but more on the larger scale, if that makes sense.
So that makes sense. But in the moments that you were explaining all of this, I had a little bit of a realization. Um, so kind of going back to where I said something along the lines of like I have my circle, my close group of people,
Yeah.
and then I have my acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I try really hard to, obviously, people pleaser. I try really hard to make the people in my circle like me a lot, and I try really hard to keep a very strong relationship with said people. That I think it's easier for me to get emotional with those people because I know how valued they are in my life.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot easier for me to, it's almost like last resort is to express emotion to that person, because any other person on the street, I'm not going to cry for that person. I'm not going to get angry for that I'm not going to give them any time of day.
Right. Right.
But the people in my group, if I sense that there's any bit of like where I could lose this person, the emotions just come out.
Yeah.
But that was before.
Yeah.
I mean, they still do, but I've gathered it up, gathered it back, reeled it in, and now I try to play more on their side of the spectrum, just because it flows better, and I know how to do that, you know?
Yeah. Um. Yeah, that's interesting, because my first initial thought when you say that, I'm like, oh, you should do what's good for you. You know what I mean? You shouldn't, try to, please other people. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you have to do what you think is right for yourself. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's what you genuinely think is right for you, then no one should be telling you that that's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't, and I also don't think that this is just my opinion. I don't think maybe you're fully in that boat of, well, I'm just going to side with this person because it's easier.
No.
I think a better way of maybe putting that is you've gained more perspective. I think, like what we've talked about, because I've seen you progress since I've known you and how you handle your emotions. And
Yeah.
every person is going to express emotions, but I've seen you progress significantly in your emotional intelligence. I'll just say that.
Sure.
Because I think you see both sides of the argument now, which is sometimes so frustrating, because you can't have like a solid, like, yeah, this is what I believe in kind of situation. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, well, I see both sides. This sucks. Because now you're like, fuck.
Yeah. It definitely something that is kind of like a side effect of gaining the perspective is having a more open mind. Being able to take the step back and really value somebody's words
Yeah.
instead of argue those words.
Right.
You
Right.
know? And I think that's just maturity,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah, it could be. Maybe it is. And and I think it also depends on the kind of stuff you're getting told. And my thing is we've talked about it, is advice. And you have always really told me, you know, when we were, I don't know, several years ago, you're like, I don't want anybody's advice. You know, like, I want to figure it out on my own, right?
Oh yeah, stubbornness.
Or I shouldn't say yes, unsolicited advice is the intelligent way of putting it, but I'm going to put it in more of in terms of to make us sound better.
Okay.
Is people telling you what to do. You know? And I've always found there's always a way to give someone your thoughts and your opinions and your advice and stuff like that. And with you, I've always kind of realized you're just the kind of person that likes to figure it out yourself, but you like all the information.
Oh yeah.
So all I've done when you call me and ask me for stuff, and I think I'm pretty good at this, is I just present you with the information.
Yeah.
And if I don't know something, I'll say I don't know this side of the information or this side of whatnot. I've only know what you told me, but I could take enough in to give you the information.
Yeah.
And what I hope for is that whoever I'm giving the information to, they take that information in and just think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I do the same thing, because I don't like being told what to do. I don't. I have made so many bad mistakes because my parents told me not to do something and I did it anyways, because I had to find out the hard way. And I always have that moment of, my parents were right. I always say that.
It's your delivery, Eric.
What do you mean?
It's how you present the information. You present it in the way to not be, you're not telling me what to do.
Right.
You're presenting me with information to do with what I want to do with it.
Right.
So like, I think it might just be an instinctual thing that your parents tell you, this is what you need to do. You need to do it this way.
Right.
And then
it's very standoffish.
brain.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like,
no,
no,
not doing that now. Even if it is the right thing to do, you're just like, no, not doing it that way now.
It's really funny because Tyler and I were watching, those TLC shows?
Tender Love and Care.
Yeah, of like the Obsessions or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
Here
we go.
Yeah, we'll be watching those, and I'm like the hoarders, and I'm listening to these psychologists and everybody that's helping these hoarders who have like a clinical medical mental illness, right?
Yeah.
These psychologists and all these people on here, I'm like, where in the hell did these psychologists get their freaking psychology degree or psychology degree? Did they get it in a shopping mall somewhere in the corner of freaking Hill Timbuktu. Because I'm like, they're saying the thing is human beings do not like to be told what to do. They don't like negative connotation to any kind of negative anything. So you have to formulate your sentences and your words so that it's not saying, oh, you need to do this or have a negative connotation to it.
Right.
People want to feel good. People want to be told how great they are. And there's a way to do this for every single person. I truly believe there's a way to do this. And it's all obviously, and for me, I don't even think about it. I'm just like, I'm just going to say what I would like to be told. I don't want to be told, you're not getting this, you're not understanding this, you need to work harder. I don't want to be told that. What I want to hear is, okay, well, that didn't quite click. Let's find a different way of doing this, something positive. But
I don't think what you're saying is wrong, but I think a lot of what you're saying has to be scenario based.
I agree.
So hopefully the listeners can decipher that, because I mean, if we were to go down each path of the scenarios, it would just take forever. So I understand what you're saying when you say that, um, but I mean, like a good example is like being told what to do. Like some people do like to just go to their job and be told what to do. They have their list of activities for the day. That's what you're doing.
Right.
But like the scenario we're talking about is like, it's almost like forcing someone. You're not really forcing someone, but you're just like highly suggesting this is the way you do it.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. I agree with that.
So I want to make sure that people don't think we're crazy.
They already do. It's too late.
But I think people have an understanding. As long as you have an open mind, you can decipher that.
And Bobby, I'll tell you this. I think it's hard for people to have an open mind.
It's really hard, man. It's because, I mean, fuck, man, you grow up. Your whole, like, I'm just going to say 18 years is a good number, because you're developing, man. You develop so much in that 18 years, and then you're just like
right
out in the open, out in the wild.
Right.
And then it's your turn to decide what you want to do. And some people just get fixed. They just get in this fixed mindset, this very closed mindset, because that's what they've done their whole life. And so it takes time to develop that open mindset and to actually decide that you want to learn instead of, no, man. I don't know how to say that, actually.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic that I can't really explain. It's like you almost have to earn the mindset.
Yeah, it's really tough.
It is very tough.
Yeah.
And I think here's another one. All right. I think you'll go through life and you will determine that there are actually people with open mindsets, and then there's people that say they have open mindsets because they want to be open-minded.
Right.
So they're the wannabe open-minders.
Right.
I don't think I'm wrong when I say that. I think you can tell when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I have an open mind."
Right.
But people who say they have an open mind, keep them on your suspect list.
Right. People who are bragging about having an open mind.
Yeah.
Is always, okay, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Are we those people now? I don't want to brag about this.
Well, I'll say this. For myself, I try to have an open mind, but sometimes it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard.
And you got to catch yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
in the act.
Yes. And sometimes I do. And I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to take a breather.
Mm-hmm.
I need to reevaluate.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is really hard because there are some things to this day I could tell you certain things that I don't have an open mind for.
So is that when you get emotional?
Well, see, it's funny because you say emotional, and I would say probably I people might for me, people always perceive it with being rude or angry or mean.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
I could see that because I know you.
right?
I can see the times when that happens.
Yeah. I'll call you about something. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's hard, and I'll think about it for a couple days, and I think there was one.
It.
Yeah, I think there's one scenario in particular. I think I called you after school, and I was just like, "Fuck this! This is terrible." And then, like a couple days later, I'm like, maybe I overreacted to that. You know, maybe I didn't have a fully open mind.
Yeah, and that's when your learning occurs.
Right. But it's hard. I try. I'm not a perfect human being. I try.
It is hard. I had an instance, geez, man, 2 weeks ago, when I was fabbing something up, man, and I let it get the best of me, man. It ruined my whole day. Yeah. I let it ruin the whole day.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. I just I gave up. Totally gave up.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was so weak. It was so weak of me to do. And the next day I was like, I can't let that, dude. I can't let that happen.
Right.
You know? And like you said, like it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Take a step back. Take a breather. Reassess and get back to it.
Yeah.
Like go take lunch. Go get a drink of water.
Right.
Gosh, my video's lagging a little bit, huh?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
I think that's really important. Just take a second. I think everybody, like I said, I make time's very important to me, but if I need to take the time, I'm going to take the time.
Yeah.
And I think someone should take, it's important to take 30 seconds, I have a situation when one of my jobs I had, I think I told you about this. When I worked at Home Depot, and this older gentleman, he has been married twice. He's older. He's in his 50s or whatnot. And he got hired the same time I got hired at Home Depot.
Yeah.
He was a cool dude. Nothing ever happened between him and I, nothing bad. Well, he got promoted to a lead, or like a supervisor.
Yeah.
And I was working in garden section part-time, and they had asked me if I wanted to be supervisor. I'm like, no, I'm in school. Sorry. This wasn't, they've asked me previously, I'm not saying just for this time in particular. But I was kind of working out in the garden department, and I had to get some bricks down for a customer, and at Home Depot the customer comes first, period. Safety, then the customer. So the individual who is in question, he was the lead of the receiving end of things, right? And there was a truck that had just showed up. There's a truck that just showed up, and he had the only forklift we could use for the outside garden department.
Okay.
So we needed it for a customer.
Yep.
So we said, hey, we're going to take this. We need it for a customer. He's like, okay, make it quick. Well, it took a little longer. It didn't fit his time frame, so he got all bent out of shape. So the individual who was driving the forklift, I was flagging for her. The individual who was driving the forklift, she went to go return the forklift to him. And
Yep.
he yelled at her. And that was my first, like, okay, that's strike number one. That's not okay. You don't yell
Yeah.
at people. Then he did his thing, and I was inside, and I was kind of just sitting there, just like in the kind of like hangout area where the employees hung out.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes walking in, the garden is close to receiving, so he could see me when he walks in from the outside door of receiving. He yelled my name, and he's like, "Come here!" And I kind of just like, I looked over at him, and I kind of was like, "All right." I'm like, "This is gonna be an altercation," and I kind of just took a deep breath, and I went over there, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" Just I told myself, I'm like, don't get all bent out of shape. Just go and just be as calm as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And he's yelling, and he's like shaking because he's got that like anger and that
Adrenaline.
And I'm just like, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm like, dude, I'm like, you know this just as much as everybody else knows this. The customer's safety and customers come first. We were getting something down for a customer. I understand you are angry, but how you handled the situation and how you yelled to so and so about that was completely inappropriate. You're a supervisor. You should know better than that. And I said, and number two, no one is, because then he started accusing us of, oh, you guys took your time on purpose. And I told him, like, we don't think our job is more important than your job. Because he's like, oh, the truck's got to be in and out within 5 minutes, right? And I'm like, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, I don't know how true that is because I don't work in receiving. But I told him, I'm just like, customers come first. You know this, all right?
Yeah.
No one's saying your job is less important than this job. But we did as quickly as we could. And then he went on and on and on and on. And he's like, well, so-and-so, the store manager's going to hear about this. So I'm like, I mean, go ahead, tell her, because I will just present her with the facts. So then the girl that got yelled at, she was really close with the store manager, and she went and told her, and then she called me over, and she's like, so what's going on? And I just told it flat out. I'm just like, I understand where he's coming from. He was probably stressed, whatever, but we were getting something for a customer, and that's what we got told in our training. I don't know where that was going, that story.
Take a step back.
Yeah, but
Breathe.
yeah, and I just was able to do that, but that kind of taught me a lesson in that. And then after the fact, I was just like, oh, wow, because I'm like, this guy's a grown ass adult. I was like 19 at the time, 20 maybe, and I'm like, you're yelling at a 20-year-old dude, and you're like 50.
Yeah. So that would be a good example of people just getting stuck in their ways and having a very closed mind,
Yeah.
not having that open mind mentality. And then for you, I would say it sounds like you also have a ability to kind of detach from scenarios like that and really be able to absorb everything that's going on. You obviously outwitted him. You were able to pull yourself back and just handle the situation,
Yeah. Well,
you know?
it's funny because I always I think back and I'm like to myself about like certain, like how I would have maybe handled things in high school. Like, oh,
Okay.
well, if I got in like a fight or something like that, like a fist fight with a classmate.
Right.
And I always think about this, and I keep going back, and I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, no matter what, I don't think I would ever get in a physical altercation with somebody unless I was attacked. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I think words are more powerful than muscles.
Yeah.
The mind is a pretty powerful muscle. So I just think I don't know. Diplomacy is my biggest thing I have in my arsenal is diplomacy. I can't do anything to anybody physical.
Don't say that. Yeah, it is.
But-
It is weird.
But I for your we always joke around. You're like, I gotta fuck someone up, right? We always joke around about
yeah.
it. But in reality, I'm just like, unless you absolutely have to, I think for you, you're gonna choose the diplomatic.
I'm all talk.
Yeah, you will choose the diplomatic route versus, But if you
Yeah.
have to, you will. And I've seen you get, I mean, you didn't get physical, but you pulled something apart. You deterred a physical altercation by getting physical.
Yeah.
You weren't punching anybody. I just would
No,
like to
I
make
was
that
just trying to help.
right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I wanted to.
Yeah.
And you, for a second, you're like, oh shit, this is serious. I got to do something. And I'm just sitting
had
there
to-
like,
Assess the situation and act.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny.
I forgot about that. Yeah. What a stupid fucking situation that was.
Yeah.
Um,
No, we're full of stupid situations.
yeah. We also like to run ourselves through scenarios.
Oh, I love
All
it.
of them.
I love it.
All of them.
Oh,
And then it's always the one that you don't think of. That you're like, God
I
damn
know,
it."
but it's preparing yourself.
Yeah.
So you're like, hopefully, some element from the scenarios that I created will be in some
Yeah.
part of this, that I can pull from
Yeah.
and say, ha.
I knew this was gonna happen.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
Well, how long have we been going?
Hour 18.
That's not bad. Looks
That's
like we're
pretty good.
looks like we're pretty much hitting the hour 30, hour 20 mark. I think I could be wrong, but I think this podcast might make a parent cry.
Headlines. This is a headliner.
You could put the description to say, "Mom, you're crying this episode, or this will make you cry."
Yeah.
Because
All the audience is our parents.
yeah, I'm sorry, but I know your mom's gonna cry, and she's gonna listen to the end of this, and she's gonna get a chuckle from it.
Bro, we gotta come up with some kind of little bit, a little like segment each podcast. Remember how we used to do late night snacks?
Oh, dude, the late night snacks.
We gotta come up with some sort of or we used to do questions, internet questions, some silly shit like that.
Yeah.
But
Maybe-
there,
Yeah. I like that. Maybe we should. What were you gonna say?
so remember how last week I spilled the smoothie on the pancakes?
Yeah.
Catastrophe, right?
Catastrophe.
So my mom and brother, dude,
I know.
we're feeling it, man.
Yeah.
My mom and brother came to visit this weekend, and I got 2 new pairs of Converse. They're the same fucking pair, but they're different color. So I got high top Converse, a white and a black.
Yes. I knew one was gonna be white.
I really, really wanted the all black ones,
Oh, those are old school.
like black laces, black sole, black
Everything.
fabric. Everything is
Yeah.
I really wanted those. I didn't get them, but Liam was like, "If you get those, you're mentally unstable." I was like, "Oh my goodness."
That's so funny. You know what
What are you gonna say?
You know what I came across the other day? New Balances.
Am I supposed to get excited?
Yes. These
Okay.
shoes are so fire. And I was just looking and I'm like, there's no chance a pair of New Balances are going to be expensive. Right.
Mhm.
My dad raved about his New Balances that he had in the 80s, right? Or the early 90s.
Classic.
So
Dad shoe of the year.
if you go to New Balance and you look up New Balance BB 550s, dude, those are a sexy shoe. And
You
I
got your phone?
yeah,
Can you flash your phone? Hmm.
I know it's not a you vibe at all.
Okay.
But
I'll
for
have an open mind.
so my dad had a pair of those, and
Okay.
he still has them to this day. And now he
Or
uses them to like mow the lawn,
the outside shoes.
the outside shoes. But he
Yeah.
got those suckers in the 80s, and
Damn.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to snatch me a pair of those
Really? What would you wear those with? Shorts, pants, jeans,
blue jeans.
blue. Oh my gosh. You could
Yeah.
pull that off. I mean, you could pull it off in New York or Portland.
Oh, shut the fuck up. No, it's like
Um,
the classic. Oh, see, now I gotta pull something else up here. I gotta find a picture.
I also got another pair of footwear as well.
You what?
I got another footwear piece to add to the collection as well.
Okay, what'd you get?
I haven't bought myself a pair of shoes since I bought my boots for the oil field,
Oh,
I think. Yeah. So remember in high school,
yeah.
junior year, Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
Birkenstock, that shit was everywhere, man. Every person and their mother was wearing those.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never really like to conform to trends and styles. I always like to do it later down the road for whatever reason. So my mom bought me a pair of Birkenstocks. Thank you, Mom. And I got home, right? I
Yeah.
get home. And I got to take my mom and brother to the airport in like 2 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wear the Birkenstocks around the old apartment, okay? So I throw the one on the floor that I was trying on in the store, which was the right one,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to throw the left one on the floor, right?
Okay.
And I threw down a second right one. And I was like, bitch, are you joking me? I was like, I have two right Birkenstocks? And I was like, every time you go buy a pair of shoes, the cashier lady or guy,
Right.
right, left, they
Right.
check for you.
Right.
So I'm like, how did we miss? How did we miss on this one? And the only thing I can think of, well, obviously, I don't think she checked,
Yeah.
but the only thing I can think of is the display. The display is always a right foot. So I must have grabbed the display right foot. And it was the same fucking size that I wear,
Yeah.
42.
Yeah.
Because Birkenstocks are measured in millimeters or something.
Sure.
So, god damn it. So we had to go back and get a left one. So annoying.
That's hilarious.
But they are nice. I've been wearing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about in the middle.
Good lord.
The jeans, the white shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's
I mean, you could pull it off, man. You
That-
got the hair.
I mean that's
Actually, we got the hair. I
Yeah.
could pull it off.
I mean that's already my style, except I athleticize it. So I'll have like this and blue jeans on, or
Nice.
the old quarter zip,
God, Eric,
or like a gray crew neck.
your wardrobe is so ravishing.
This is why I wear suits or button-up shirts and slacks,
Dude,
because I know you
simple-
can't go wrong with that.
Simple guy, man. I've seen you in this fucking Nike zip up bullshit forever.
You were with me when I bought this.
Dude, it's like, I mean, I'm simple, bro. I wear a crew neck every day.
Or like
It just makes sense.
a Dickie shirt. I got like 5 of those. A Dickie long shirt with some blue jeans.
Yeah.
Boom.
Dude, I don't know.
I don't think listeners of this podcast should be taking advice from two dudes.
No, I don't. I just can't conform to this new style right now. I just can't get with it.
I see. I don't think that I do. I just wear blue jeans. They're not anything special. They're Wranglers. They're blue Wranglers. Everybody always says I wear dad jeans, and I'm like, they're just jeans.
No, you do. There's jeans, man. There's different styles of jeans, man.
I can't do the holes, and I can't do the faded jeans either. I'm just like, what?
No, you don't got to. Bro, we just need to go shopping for you is what we need to do. I think it's also doing you a disservice that you're lengthy in the leg department.
Yeah, this is also true.
It's
And
tough.
Small in the waist.
Yeah.
Super hard
That's
to
tough.
find my jean.
What's your fucking, what is it? Inseam? Is that what it's called?
Inseam,
Yeah.
34.
So Liam's got a 34.
Well, what is Liam?
But
well,
Liam weighs like
no,
190.
I think the difference between Liam and I is if you saw me in a 34, at the end of it, my jeans aren't all bunched up. They just fit perfectly. There's a little bit of scrunch, just a little bit. Now, if you look at Liam's jeans comparatively, you'd be like, why is Liam's jeans all bunched up at the floor on his ankle? Mine aren't.
There you go. I think that's your fix right there, then.
What?
If you had a little bit more crunch and bunch at the bottom.
I can't have the crunch at the bottom.
Dude, I told myself for a long time that I couldn't wear shorts that were above the knee. And I carried that trend out for way too long.
I'm sorry, but Taylor in some short shorts. I'm not gay.
Quads.
I'm not gay, but if I swung that way.
Dude, I got some good looking legs, man. I get a little
throw some sun
vein when I look at myself.
I was gonna say, get a little sun on those bad boys.
I need to, man. Holy smokes.
I wonder what if you were to start laying out in the sun, like on your porch, if you get sun on your porch at any portion of the day, just like an hour a day, go out there and read and just get some sun on the legs.
It's on the agenda.
I wonder what that would do for your overall kind of just your overall health. I wonder if that'd
be good. That's what it'd be.
Right. Because everybody says we're freaking vitamin D deficient in America. Maybe that's just Oregon.
Yeah.
I need to get some sun too. I was out there golfing every day in the summer, dude. I had a nice tan on my arms.
It's okay. So
gone.
I'll make fun of you and me at the same time.
Okay.
You are looking as white as your damn wall.
True.
And when I put on white socks, it doesn't even look like I'm wearing socks. Because it's just the same color all the way down.
Right. Bobby, it's been winter. Give us a break.
I know. I've been wearing pants. I have to wear pants every day too.
That's true.
Kind of sucks.
Gosh.
Summer is near, my friend.
It's right around the corner. It's peeking its little head.
Yeah. 65 here in Vegas. Amazing. Windy though. It's that windy season right now.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask you after the podcast.
Sure enough.
Yeah. It's not really important for the podcast, but anyways, we got to end the podcast. It's gone on too long.
Hour 30.
Exactly.
Hour 30, baby.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's all I got.
That's it.
All righty.
I'm done.
Bye.